Welcome to Always Home to Smallville, level 33.1, new 52, level 33.1, number 6, by my calculation. Have 3 level 33.1 members with me this time. We have from Comic Junkies, 4 Comic Junkies, JJ Hodges. That's the name of your show, right?
4 Comic Junkies, yes.
We have Isaiah Goodridge.
What's up? Not from anywhere,
Not from anywhere.
Here. Yeah.
And also, are you from somewhere yet, Mateo? I haven't listened to your stuff yet. I know you were plugging it last time we talked, but where are you from these days, Mateo?
Well,
Santiago, what's up?
Hey, what's up? I come across the multi Spider-Verse. I come from the Marvel side, apparently. Right now I've been making a podcast with one of my buddies called Culture Mash, where we've been discussing the differences between Western and Eastern media. He's an anime guy. I'm a film guy. We just recently did an episode where we compared the idea of world building and compared the this anime movie that came out a little while ago, Suzume, and the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh. I haven't seen the Super Mario Brothers movie. Have y'all?
I have, yeah. It's go ahead.
I mean, I was gonna say if you've played the game and then had a dream about playing the game, you've probably seen it.
I mean,
Agreed.
I saw the 90s movie. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, right?
No.
I know that's a joke. I understand. There's a difference. So, no, I never really been a big video game guy. So, I mean, I'm sure when it comes on streaming, I'll watch it. But I'm not like, oh, guy, go see the Nintendo movie. Although I'm like the only person, because apparently it's like the most successful animated film of all time. Well, it was until Across the Spider-Verse came out. Am I right?
Let's go.
So we're going to talk about some stuff in this podcast. Talk about some Marvel, talk about some DC. Recording this at a very crucial time, right before The Flash comes out. Although I feel like everyone's already seen The Flash. So we'll can talk about that as well. But Across the Spider-Verse, right? I did not see Into the Spider-Verse in the theaters. That was a busy time for me. And I was like, it's Marvel. So, but saw it on DVD. Actually got it on DVD at Half Price Books. I own it. Watched it on my great HD TV. Looked fantastic. But anyway, loved it. Saw the sequel. Loved it. I love what they're doing over there with Spider-Man. Who knew that Sony cranking out these Spider-Man movies? If you just ignore Morbius, which I forgot existed actually. But if you look at their track record, although the Venom movies are terrible, they make hundreds of millions of dollars. So good for them. No Way Home, fantastic. Made like, I don't know, over $1 billion. You got these 2 Spider-Verse movies, the third one on the way. Like, they're doing some good stuff over there. They're going to ruin it all with Kraven the Hunter coming out soon. I don't know when that comes out. I saw, have you guys seen a trailer for it?
No, there hasn't been any.
I think it's supposed to come out in 23.
Well, you say that. So I was
they delayed it, I think.
It's October. It's October, and they showed a trailer at CinemaCon like 2 or 3 months ago, whenever that was.
Okay, I saw a trailer because I was standing in line getting movie tickets, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do a survey and see a trailer?" I'm like, "Sure." And I saw a trailer for Kraven the Hunter, and it's one of these things where they record your reaction, because I think that's how they edit all these videos together. Like, I just was like. Russell Crowe's in it as his dad. I'm like, what are you ripping off DC now? Or
What?
Russell Crowe's his dad? Yeah. Doesn't look good.
That's stuff to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think a Kraven the Hunter movie would be cool if Spider-Man was in it. Like, right? I mean,
if he was the
100%.
main villain of a Spider-Man movie, sure. I remember when they were like before No Way Home came out, like everyone was speculating that he was going to be the villain of that movie.
Right. I remember that.
Well, there's that story. I've never read it. Again, more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy, but Kraven's Last Hunt. It's really supposed to be like one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time. And so if they ever made like one more Tobey Maguire or one more Andrew Garfield movie, like apparently that'd be a good. What I've heard is that would be a perfect kind of vehicle for that. I think they're making Venom 3 right now. Have they started? You might know.
I think
pre-production.
So.
Yeah,
like
pre-production.
Like in my opinion, Venom 3 should be the Amazing Spider-Man 3. They should just combine those two.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen for some reason.
Like,
I wish
who's
it was.
left?
Well, let me throw this out there, because I said this on
Host of the Spider-Man book club, JJ Hodges, has something to say.
This is something that truly annoys me to no end. Is assuming the rumors I've heard are true. So next year there's supposed to be the Madam Web movie, because if you remember the
Forgot
90s
about
cartoon-
that. 100%
Yep.
forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Well, here's the thing: is that Adam Scott is in it, and apparently he's playing a young Ben Parker. And in my mind, it is
I thought it was Peter's dad, not Ben.
That's-
That's what I heard.
is it Peter's dad? I've heard both. I don't know which one's
Yeah.
true, but I
I
think
had a
don't know for
father.
sure.
His name was Ben Parker. Okay, so
the thing that really annoys me about that is you're going to cast Adam Scott in a Spider-Man related movie and not have him play like a Peter B. Parker type Spider-Man. And I think that is a gigantic missed opportunity. And just like Sony, just the animation side, they're killing it. But
Mhm.
their movies, they're just clearly struggling. Like, we'll have, you get like big name stars like Tom Hardy, Woody Harrelson, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Russell Crowe in these movies, and then they're just garbage movies, and then you try to add Michael Keaton at the end of Morbius, and he's like, I don't know how I got here. I think it has something to do with Spider-Man. I'm like,
Spider-Man, yeah.
Morbius doesn't even know who that is.
okay, and I feel like we've had this conversation on one of these roundtables before. Maybe I'm wrong. I never saw Morbius, so how many scenes is Michael Keaton in?
One.
Yeah, one.
And they're not the ones we saw in the trailers,
Not in the
right?
trailer.
Correct.
Not in
Nope.
the
Because
trailer.
there were multiple scenes in the trailers with Michael Keaton, but that's not. It's him, in the vulture suit, right, flying around, and he goes up to Morbius, right? Because in the trailers,
Yeah.
he's like he's in a jail cell, or he's like walking through an alley, right? But they're not in the. Oh my god! Anyway, what a mess! What a mess!
Yeah, those trailers are really deceiving.
But hey, like you said, animation is doing well. Into the Spider-Verse, great. Across the Spider-Verse, better. What do you guys think?
I'll take the lead real quick just because I got the background.
That's fair.
So I went in with high expectations just because like the first one means a lot to me. It was I literally saw the first one as like I was graduating college. Like I submitted my senior thesis and I was like, I'm going to see this awesome movie. And I had one of the best times ever. It's one of, if not my favorite Spider-Man / superhero movie, period. And then I watched this movie. I'm like, this might be better. And I honestly couldn't believe it. I think the visuals in this movie are incredible. I think it's some of the best things I've ever looked at. Like I looked at this, I'm like, this might be my favorite animated movie of all time. And I did not think I was going to go walk out thinking that. I think the story that is explored in this, that the themes about like, do you have to face tragedy in the face of being a superhero? And I don't know how much we're going to get into spoilers here, but I think that the type of story that they're trying to tell, I think, is really remarkable, especially like if the first one is about like anyone could be Spider-Man, this one is very much of like, what does it mean to be Spider-Man? And I thought the way they handled that with Miles in particular, I thought was awesome. I think Gwen, I read her comics, so just seeing her covers like come to life with the watercolor, I thought was really remarkable. And also like the cameos in this movie don't seem like they're just thrown in. I feel like there's actual meaning behind it, and there's just like so much fun. And I'm learning so much more. Like this is a movie that I can easily just like once I buy it, I'm just gonna just go frame by frame and study it out because I think that there's so much to get from this. To get from this is like from multiple rewatches, which is what I got from the first one. I feel like this one is gonna be like tenfold. So those are my quick sense on it.
Cool. What about you, Isaiah?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think firmly it's better than the first one. Without question. I will say that probably What's Up Danger, the scene in one, is probably like the best like top 5 superhero scenes ever. And I don't think any one particular scene in 2 beats that. But as far as like a movie is concerned, I think 2 is better than 1. And kind of as you were saying, Mateo, it's like Miles, especially for me, resonates so much because he was the very first comic book that I ever picked up when I was like, I'm gonna date myself, but yeah, when I was like 10 years old, his origin story, The Death of Peter Parker, was the first comic book I ever read. And so I did watch Into the Spider-Verse in theaters, and it blew my mind. And then while I was, what in the theaters watching too, from like the cold open, once I realized the opening sequence was a cold open, I was like, wow, I'm really sitting here like watching art in front of me. And so I'd love to like talk spoilers. I don't know if we'll be able to, but it's definitely an amazing movie.
I mean, spoiler alert. We're gonna talk. I feel like everybody's seen it by now, right? I mean, it's been a couple weeks.
A solid
1 week.
You mean a week?
Look, it's made so much money at this point. Everybody's seen it, right? JJ, you did an episode of your Spider-Man book club with Lance Lasser recently about it. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm sure it's great. You guys liked it, right?
Oh yeah. We both really loved it, and he obviously has a much different perspective on it than I. And being just, I don't know how to put it. But what we talked about was the thing I always say in my show is that what worked for the movie, as beautiful as it is, it that doesn't mean anything unless there's a really strong emotional reality to it, and that movie had, it, and he agreed, feeling, Miles literally being told, you don't belong. And because that's essentially, and that is very kind of meta, because that's what people were saying when Miles was created in 2011. Like they just couldn't handle a black Spider-Man, and which is just you've ever heard in your life, because it's Spider-Man. He can be anybody, and to have that be a big plot point in this film made all the difference. And not only that, but how Miles reacts to it, and how he says he's going to write his own story. I mean, it's just all that's beautiful, and it's
I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
That's going to be a meme forever now. But
for sure. That and the bagel effect.
Bagel.
And who knew that like, was a planned thing, like,
I mean, was it? Who knows?
They say it is.
So
I feel like it was.
No, so I actually I just listened to a podcast today where the directors were being interviewed about it, and they literally said, like, because like there were people who actually dressed up like the guy who got hit by the bagel at, like, I don't know, conventions or something like that. They literally were like, yeah, we want to make that guy the villain. I don't think they knew for certain that it was going to be Spot in particular, but I think they knew that, like, okay, yeah, we want to make this guy the villain, which I'm just like, I mean, creative for sure. I mean, that's just like the way they come up with ideas is astounding.
Well, Lord and Miller, are like geniuses. Who would have thought that 2 21 Jump Street movies would not only be good, but like just work and be funny, and the Lego movie being something I'm not so hot on the second one, but the first one I was like, oh my god, like this has something to say. This isn't just like a cash grab.
Yep.
POS.
I think that's essential, JJ. I think these have something to say, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, there's so much fan service and Easter eggs and all that, but that is just in service to the story. And I think that's what's so awesome. Usually you see these big movies and it's the opposite. It's like, yeah, we got to throw a story in here, but it's just an excuse to have all this stuff. And yeah, it's so true about the meta commentary of like all of them saying, you don't belong here. You're not a real Spider-Man. And sadly, like you look in the discourse around Miles Morales now, and that's so crazy to me, because it's like, to me, like, I think that's what you do. Like you make John Stewart a Green Lantern. You make Miles Morales a Spider-Man. Like, to me, that's what you do, instead of like Clark Kent's going to be black now. I'm like, well, that doesn't. I don't. I don't think that's the right play, right? I think making another character who can expand the universe and then he can be alongside that character. I mean, like we see with Green Lantern, like you see with Spider-Man, like we see with all the Flashes, for example. So
Mhm.
that just makes sense. And and not that it's right, but I would understand more like, hey, what are you doing making Peter Parker black conversation instead of like we've made a Miles Morales so you can have your Peter Parker and your Miles
Right.
Morales, and that's just anyway. That's the way I think anyway.
Mhm.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are like examples that I use when talking to people all the time of like why I'm personally against the idea of race changing characters just for the sake of race changing them. Because I think it's super lazy and
Mhm.
very unoriginal when we have so many successful examples where the opposite is true.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well,
I think.
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think to just like go off of that real quick. I think what's interesting is just like how we're getting like multiple versions of like the same character in comics. Like I know like there was one person I read on Twitter who said that people are going to start thinking of Miles the same way people think of Wally West as like because like there are people who think that Barry Allen is the Flash. People think who Wally West is the Flash. I think like we're really going to start thinking about Spider-Man the same way, that we're going to start seeing people who identify Miles as their Spider-Man. And hopefully that happens even more with like other characters where we can see like obviously there's multiple Green Lanterns. There's we could see a different Wonder Woman. We can see different Batman. I mean, we do have Terry McGinnis, but like hopefully he'll get a movie one day.
So I don't know. They're trying their best not to do it. Okay, so Terry McGinnis is a guy like if you changed his race, it'd be like that's fine. You know, like it's although McGinnis is kind of an Irish name, so I'm just saying. But I always thought like, and if you look at his parents in the show, they're very white. Like his dad has like a mustache, his mom's, but like he always looks sort of Asian. Maybe
I
it's
was
just the
about
way
to
they drew
say,
him.
I feel like
He
he
always
was
had an Asian
drawn
look.
Asian. Yeah.
in the Beyond the White Knight comic book, the Sean Murphy that he made him Asian.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and because he thought, well, he looks like it, I'm just gonna embrace it.
Yeah.
And then people took that as as people do, just as this giant statement when he just thought it'd be kind of a fun thing where everybody's taken it as a statement, and then you get the racist trolls coming out of the woodwork saying that, oh, you can't do that, he's supposed to be white, and or the I'm not racist but people. And
Look, no offense, but that's how you know
Yeah.
people are about to be offended. That's it. Spoilers for Justice League Unlimited. Hashtag keep epilogue a secret if you watch our database. There's one specific reason that maybe you do want to keep Terry McGinnis white guy,
sure.
but that's
And
not
I was
really
thinking
Asian
that.
American.
I was thinking that.
Well, Asian, just have him be Asian American. Like I think that's
I guess his mom can be Asian, and then I don't know. There's a specific story thing they do in Justice League Unlimited. I'm like, okay, well, I guess if you want to do that, but you don't need to do that. I think that was a cool kind of twist, but that's not necessary at all to the character, in my opinion.
I mean,
you know what
we're
we're talking about,
if-
Mateo?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like if we're spoiling Across the Spider-Verse, I'm pretty sure people know exactly what we're talking about.
That's true. I feel like more people have seen Across the Spider-Verse than Justice League
Than
Unlimited
Probably.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, it's back on Netflix as opposed to Max now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I
Is
had to re-download an app to use Max, which is so dumb, but that's its own problem. HBO Max, I used to tell people this is the best streaming service, and now I'm like, oh man, why does everything have to be so complicated? This is why we can't have nice things. But Terry McGinnis, I guess my point is getting back to that. Race swap him, sure. I think Asian's the way to go. Because as far as the DC like legacy heroes and stuff, there's Ryan Choi as the Atom, but outside of him, I don't think we have any other real. I mean, Katana, I'm just trying to think of Asian superheroes on the DC side.
There's a speedster who is, and there's a Superman.
There is
Superman.
that Superman. Yeah,
New Superman. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
but
but
Kane and Kong, right?
yes, yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. A lot of that stuff, I kind of get where people are coming from, because sometimes it does feel, especially in movies, like we were talking about before with race swapping, it does feel a little bit like, well, we got to check these boxes. But at the same time, it's also like I mean, representation is important, and it's, and I don't know, I think seeing, but also Miles' story in Across the Spider-Verse, getting in trouble with his parents, not feeling like he can share everything, being in love with this girl that, isn't always around or whatever. Those are universal things,
Mhm.
that anybody can relate to. So, and people that just kind of shut their brains down and go, oh, that's not right because he's not supposed to be. Yeah, but that story still resonates with me, nothing like
Yeah,
any of
and
them.
100%, and even vice versa of like why so many people love Peter Parker and how Peter Parker has survived in the pop culture genre for what, like 60, 70 years, something like that, because the stories that are told through him are, yeah, universal stories with which we all can understand. That's why, like, that's kind of why I was so offended when when Lance when I realized Lance wasn't a huge fan of Homecoming, because I'm not gonna lie, like when I was watching Homecoming, Iowa 2 was like 15, the same age as Peter Parker. And I'm like, yo, like I'm really feeling this kid right now. Like even just the awkward interactions of like, I'm gonna go this way and actually I have to follow you. Just all that stuff I really identified with. It was really impactful for me.
Wait, so
Well,
if you were the
stay
same,
tuned for Always One in the MCU when we get there on the Patreon. We'll see what Lance thinks about it these
Bet.
days. But yeah,
if you were the same age as Peter in Homecoming, that means that in a way, this version of Spider-Man is like your Smallville, because
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yes,
Zach and
exactly.
Lance the same age as
Yeah, it
Clark
was
from
like
Smallville.
14 with
Yeah,
Clark. Yeah.
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is like my Smallville because the Smallville guys wrote Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
And also he was in high school in the Spider-Man movies.
Mhm.
25-year-old Tobey Maguire and 35-year-old Tom Welling. But I don't
Same
know
with
who looked. I'd say Toby looked more like a high schooler than Tom, right?
I totally disagree.
I was about to say,
No,
yeah, no, I think
sorry, I'm not
Tom,
buying. I'm not
Are you
buying that one.
are
yeah,
y'all serious right now?
No,
Zach.
being
Toby
dead
looked like
serious.
he was 45 in
No, real
Spider-Man.
talk. Toby looked like an old man.
Like,
Wow. Okay.
I'm not gonna go that far, but he
I
definitely
don't.
looked like he was like in like early college.
But Tom was like 6.5 feet tall, and just I don't know. I guess Toby
he's Superman.
they kind of
Yeah,
frumped him
but
up a
he had
little
a
bit. He had the
youthful face, though.
glasses, right? I mean, I think maybe that it helped. But okay, I see what you mean. Tom had a more youthful look to him, perhaps, than
Yes,
Toby.
exactly.
I'll
I
give
think
you
that's
that.
what it
Exactly.
is.
And
I
Andrew
also,
Garfield, who was like 30, looked like he was like a really cool 16-year-old, but still 16, I think.
Indeed, I'd agree.
yeah.
Coolest Peter Parker ever. Oh, but outcast.
No, and I was rewatching Amazing the other night, and issues with that
Why?
movie.
Why would you rewatch? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mood. I was like, well, I'm gonna put this on, and first and foremost, Dennis Leary was perfect as Captain Stacy. Emma Stone as Gwen, and even Andrew was great as Spider-Man. I hate because Peter is such an asshole. Like, it drives me nuts. I'm like, dude, I know everything, but
I mean, he
that was
he is a
that was
jerk in the
cold.
beginning, though. He is
That's
kind of
part
a
of his
jerk in the
character.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
in
was
the
about
beginning
to
of the
say, yeah.
comics.
Yeah, true. Amazing Fantasy 15 is essentially, you could read it as a supervillain origin. But yeah, that just always rubs me the wrong way, and it's probably good we didn't get a Amazing Spider-Man 3 because they would have found another member of the
Oh,
Stacy family to kill. So
Dude.
no, did you hear about the plans that they had for 3?
I think I heard them, but I forgot them. So please share if you
So
remember what they are.
I'm paraphrasing here, but I remember like reading an article saying that they were gonna like Peter was like gonna look into like some sort of like I don't like some sort of chemical that could bring back the Stacys. And
Oh no.
and
Oh,
I
no.
was just like, like absolutely not. Thank God this thing didn't happen.
I wanted to see Amazing Spider-Man 3 just so when he looked off to the side, there'd be Captain Stacy and Gwen just staring at him whenever he do anything, just staring at him. Like he's going on a date with MJ. She's staring at him. I will never not think
Shailene
of
Woodley,
Shailene
so
Woodley.
sad.
Whenever I see
Shailene
a picture
Woodley,
or see her name, I'm like, oh, it's MJ. I'll
Yep.
always think
MJ.
that.
Same.
That,
Deleted
that
scenes we
hurts.
will never see. Talk about misrepresentation, right? From trailers and stuff. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like half of that stuff in those trailers, like Green Goblin, Chris Cooper, like, not everybody deserves a happy ending, whatever. Like, what are you talking about? You died in the first scene, man. What are you talking about? And then, but all those alternate scenes, all these pictures we've seen from behind the scenes of like Mary Jane being in it, and that's a horrible movie. It's terrible. I don't like it at all. But I would definitely see like it release the web cut, right?
100%.
I just want that scene. I just really want the scenes with Peter and MJ and MJ with Gwen. Like,
there's multiple scenes of her, so they're
Yeah.
supposed to be, right?
There was like three. There was at least three. Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember, like I read an article saying that like there's a scene between Gwen and MJ where MJ's like, like how the heck do you land a nice guy like Pete? And Gwen just goes, date nerds.
There we go.
Which I'm like, perfect. And
I'm about to say nerd representation for the win.
And then the next scene, she says, "Hey Harry, you know what you should do? You should take some Green Goblin formula and kill Gwen Stacy."
That's why he killed Gwen Stacy.
And he's like, "Yeah." So,
well, anyway, we all love Across the Spider-Verse. Do we all think it's better than the first one?
I'm still on the fence on that.
It's too soon to decide, huh? You gotta let the dust settle.
Well, I think like, so one aspect of the movie that I'm still kind of like on the fence on, and I think that's intentional, is like the whole the captain must die theory. And because like is one of those things, I think, because of the fact that like I am only like familiar with that concept because like obviously George Stacy dies in the comics, and then we saw Dennis Leary die in the first Amazing film. But in my mind, I'm just kind of like, but we've never seen that outside of like that medium. So the fact that that's like a quote unquote constant, I found really strange. Like I wish that they said it, like they phrase it as like, oh, like as your Spider-Man, someone close to you will die. So that way you can bring in like Andrew Garfield losing Gwen, you can bring in Tobey Maguire losing Harry, something like that. Like as your Spider-Man, a tragedy will happen, and then everything will align in that way. So like the whole thing, like the captain has to die, always felt strange, but I'm going to leave that alone until I see beyond.
Well, they also like they challenge that too. It's like, what's going to happen? Like he's like, do you even know? Like I don't know, because they're framing Spider-Man 2099, right?
Yeah.
As like kind of the bad guy, which makes sense. It's like we are the heroes. I'm like, see, that's a good villain right there. So I don't know. We'll see how it all plays. These guys have thought everything through, so I have total faith that they're gonna pay off whatever they're setting up here. I don't know about y'all, but like I got fooled on the twist of like spoilers when he ends up on the other Earth. Because I'm just you're caught up in all the emotion you're watching, and then I'm like, wait a minute, isn't she in the same room they're in? I'm like, oh, like they did a really good job of stretching that out. And you're so like caught up in everything that's going on at that time. You're not thinking about like that because they established the spider came from Mother Earth, and it all tracks. Like if it's retcons or not, like you said, Mateo, like they saw some dude in cosplay. I'm like, let's make that guy the villain. Like they did their research, they made it all fit. And that was fantastic. So I don't know. It was like, when they really started into that meta stuff, if you will, is from like, oh, I see what they're saying here. And there's obviously more to it than just that, but like this one has a message of like belonging. And I don't know, these are great movies. These are fantastic movies. And the last one won Best Animated Pictures at the Oscar, right? So thank you, Lucasfilm, for firing Lord and Miller from Solo so they could go make the Best Picture Oscar for Into the Spider-Verse. Amazing.
This one needs to get nominated for Best Picture. This one like honestly, like I have my issues with the Academy, but like this is one of those things that like there have only been 3 animated movies that ever been nominated for Best Picture.
Well, but they've changed the categories though now, Mateo.
Yeah, so
you know what I'm saying? Like they're going to be in their own category.
I get that, but like I mean, when Toy Story was nominated for Best Picture, it was also nominated for Best Animated as well. Same thing for
Oh, was
Up.
it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Up and Toy Story 3 were both nominated for Best
You're
Picture
right. I forgot about that.
alongside animated.
Because I always
So
think about Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture. I
yeah,
think
that was
after
and
that,
that was
they made
before the
that.
category.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just like, hey, like I
But-
think that this movie deserves like it's a lock for Best Animated. Like it's gonna win it, but I
Mhm.
think it definitely deserves at least recognition for Best Picture. It's not gonna win Best Picture, but as if we can get like a nomination, especially after Guillermo's great speech about Pinocchio last year in regards to the medium of animation, this would be like
Yeah.
I honestly the Academy might get my respect again.
You're right. The Oscars they're complicated, right? Because there's this air about them, but there's also like this rejection of like mainstream stuff, and I feel like they're getting better, over the years, but they're hit or miss. And you're absolutely right. I think this will definitely get nominated, if not easily win Best Animated Picture.
I do. It's tough to say if it's better or not because it's a fantastic continuation of the story. It does what a good sequel should do, which is build on what happened the first time. And I think facts and everything, and also having Peter B. Parker be a much smaller role in it was a really smart choice. Because I'm sure he'll have a bigger part in part 3. It's tough because it also is, I don't know, kind of like Kill Bill or Empire, right? It's only half the story. I don't know. So it's
that's I see what you mean. It's not quite Matrix Reloaded where it's like, oh, you just stopped the story. Like I feel like there is a beginning, middle, end of this one, right?
Yes.
Because like
Right.
Gwen has her arc, like the beginning is her and her dad, and
Yep.
it ends there. And so I feel like there is an arc to this, but it's like Empire Strikes Back, where it's like it's a self-contained thing, but obviously you need to continue on.
I thought of it more as a Back to the Future Part 2 scenario where
Sure,
Marty
sure.
has his whole story with being in the future and all that. However, there is the cliffhanger about like what happened to Doc. Like he has to
Mhm.
go get Doc. That's the way I kind of like looked at it.
I mean, I'm not gonna outright disagree with you, but I think I would refer even to like the ending of Infinity War as opposed to like Endgame. In terms of Infinity War, even though you could say it left off on a cliffhanger, I still would propose or maintain that it is a self-contained story, like on its
I agree
own.
with that.
And while I realize it's not a one-to-one comparison because there are like some obvious, very dropped or on hold plot threads, but I do think like Miles made a character arc from the start of
Yes.
the movie to even to where he is at the end of it. Gwen made a character arc from the start of the movie to where she is at the end of it. And even the antagonist, in terms of Spot, he made a character arc is a strong word, but he does change from where he is at the start of it to where he is at the end of it. And so when I measure, just the quality of a movie using those kind of standards, I'm like, yeah, I think I gotta say it's better than the second one, better than the first one, sorry, because the second one is able to not only expand everything that the first one did, but introduce new elements in such creative and interesting ways without losing focus of the main plot.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I feel like when I was watching, I was like the first, I don't know, like 30 minutes, I was like, I think maybe the first one was better, but that's before they really got into the meat of things. And once they they kind of showed you where they're going, like, oh, I see what all this is for. I see where you're going. So yeah. So there you go. I can't wait for the third one. Maybe it's going to get delayed. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty ambitious to have it come out
Please don't
next
say
year.
it. Please don't say it.
I'm just saying, I mean, it's supposed to come out in a year.
March of next year.
March. Fingers crossed.
All right,
But
we'll
if SAG goes on strike, then it's for sure getting delayed because none of the cast have done any of their recording their lines yet.
Oh yeah,
at
I
least,
saw that interview too. It was like, no, I haven't recorded anything yet. I'm like, ooh, tell them we're in trouble.
I don't know if I believe that. Andrew Garfield said quite a few times.
You back?
Yeah.
I thought it was mine for a second.
No, it was all him. You're the worst. No, I'm just kidding.
Sound like my dad.
What was I gonna say? Oh, There were a lot of times where like I pointed at the screen like, oh, that, like when Donald Glover, a couple of times there, and then just seeing the clips from the other Spider-Man in the background, and I'm like, but in like a good way.
Yeah.
Not in like and what happens in Star
Yeah.
Wars, I usually just like, just roll my eyes. It's like, oh, there it is. I know what that is, from Red
Yeah.
Letter Media. But this, I'm like, oh, this is all in service of the story. Like, I don't know what secret sauce they got going on over there, but they've cracked the code for doing that stuff, and just really just all the video games, cartoons, movies, like it's all one Spider-Verse. Like they even say Spider-Verse in this. Like, did they ever say Spider-Verse in the first movie?
No,
Okay,
No.
I didn't think so.
I literally shrieked when Spectacular was in it,
Dude.
like because like I knew that because like in the poster he was there, and like I got a little giddy because like they showed like all the Uncle Ben deaths, so they showed Spectaculars. I was like, oh, that's really nice. And they showed him like over a captain, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then he actually gets a line. Like he's actually,
Yeah.
I was like, I got so giddy because like for me, Spectacular is my definitive Spider-Man. Like that is like whenever I read the comics, it is like his voice that I hear. That's how much I love that
100%.
show. And so that was the one I probably loved the most.
So on that note there, let me ask you, who do you hear when you read a Batman comic?
Kevin Conroy.
Okay. So that's weird. Because for me, the voice I hear is Christopher Daniel Barnes as Spider-Man. Because
From the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, from the
Yes.
90s. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I think
No,
it's
I
funny
hear Kevin
that,
Conroy from those video games from a few years ago, JJ. I don't know what you're talking about.
but like Kevin Conroy transcends all the other guys. I've never heard anybody say Reno Romano or Diedrich Bader that they hear him, right? Or either of them.
Well, Conroy has a monopoly, honestly. Like he's done so many different versions and like in different mediums. So I think that that kind of lends to his advantage. I think with like the reason why am I blanking on his name right now? But the guy who plays Spectacular,
Josh
Keaton, yes. The reason why his voice like speaks to me so much is just like, or particular like that version of Spider-Man feels like a perfect modernization of exactly what Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were doing back when they were writing. I mean, Greg Weisman, like he said in interviews, like that's exactly what they were trying to do. So they were really trying to essentially modernize the first 100 issues. And so I just feel like he really gets who Peter Parker is. And as much as I love I'm sorry, who's the name for the 90s series again?
Christopher Daniel Barnes.
Yeah, as much as I love him shouting "Shaka," as much as I love that, I just I think because of like the way, as much as I love the 90s series, I think like the censoring about like the punches and just like the overacting sometimes it slightly holds it back for me.
I got you. Well, Josh Keaton got to play Norman Osborn in the
2017 series, right?
Yep, which I didn't realize until I was watching it on Disney Plus, and I was like, why does Osborn sound familiar? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so cool.
I'm just glad that Josh Keaton got to play. Who's the bad guy in Young Justice, the Dark Spider dude?
Black Spider.
Black Spider, yes.
Yes.
I remember when I saw it, it was something like Spider-Man now. What the hell is they're gonna get sued by Marvel? Because I didn't never heard of that character before I see him swinging through a Young Justice episode. I'm like, guys, you can't do this. This is
No, they did that intentionally. They totally did that intentionally. They were like, hey, can we use this character? Cool. Let's get Keaton on the phone.
Well, Wiseman produced both of them, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
He did. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people coming over, like crossover, because like Gwen Stacy, that was Lacey Chabert, she does Satana. Then you got who else was in that show?
Mary Jane is Black Canary.
Oh yeah, Vanessa Marshall. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Greg Weisman also did Gargoyles back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's why you have a lot of Star Trek Next Generation cast members show up on Young Justice, like Brent Spiner, who is the worst Joker ever. Like, I love Brent Spiner. I love Data. He was like my role model growing up, but is the worst Joker ever. Like,
that's why he's only in one episode.
I thought maybe he was in one more. He's in a couple.
He's in season 4. He's in season
4 and then 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Marina Sirtis, she's Troy on TNG. She's like Queen Bee. And I feel like
Oh,
there might
yeah,
be
you're
some other
right.
ones in there, but anyway, I was like, and I'm like, oh, the Greg Wiseman connection. So that's what it is.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Yep.
He loves using his people, which I really do
Yeah.
respect, actually,
he's
Yeah.
the Chris Nolan of animation, Greg Wiseman. So,
for sure.
or the James Gunn of animation. Am I right? Hey, let's transition
Oh.
to the DC universe.
Let's go.
Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Who saw it?
Yes, sir.
I did.
Look
I
at all
did.
y'all seeing it, man. Look at us.
Opening night.
Yeah, me too.
I saw it
love
opening night too. Lance and I were like the only people in the theater. I think one more small family came in.
Oof,
I was like,
that's
"There's not going to
tragic.
be a Shazam 3." I'll tell you that. So
Well,
I heard- Oh, wait,
Yeah.
I gotta share this real quick. This was so funny. I remember at the end of that movie where they played that stinking end credit scene with the caterpillar. I don't even know the thing's name, but I remember
Mr.
like,
Mind is his
Mr.
name.
Mind.
One of the
Yeah.
arch nemesis of Captain Marvel. But go on.
as he was like, I remember like he was like, "Oh, it's just taking me a little longer. I'll get there eventually." I kid you not. There was a family who was sitting right in front of me as that thing ended. They're like, "The next time we see him, he's gonna be a butterfly."
well,
I was like, that
I can
might
see
be
it.
funnier than
About that.
anything I saw in that movie.
That is good. No, that that movie it's not good. It's not good.
tough.
Zachary Levi, who I thought was okay in the first one, like just completely turned it up to 11. Like dude, you're supposed to be older. Like why is Billy Batson more mature than Captain Marvel? Shazam. Your name is Shazam. God. It's the wizard's name. Okay, anyway. I don't know. Like why did you invent villains? It's for like more of a Wonder Woman villain, which I get Wonder Woman shows up, which they all showed in the trailers. What is wrong? I don't have time right
That
now.
was ridiculous.
But I want to edit together a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer as if DC released it,
Oh,
and it would
boy.
just be Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield
All
and
over
Green
it.
Goblin, like fighting Tom Holland, all this Aunt May dying, like all that would be in the trailer. DC released Spider-Man No Way Home. But yeah, I don't know. Like I loved the first Shazam,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
but everything I saw about the second Shazam, I was like, I don't know about this, y'all. And sadly, I was correct, and I feel like everybody didn't like it. So
the main problem with the movie is that it's like Zachary Levi and Asher Angel, we're not
Jackson.
at all on the same page. Like they were not playing the same character.
Was
even
Asher
though-
Angel on the page?
Who
This
is
man
these
had like,
scenes?
yeah, he was like in like 2 minutes max. I was like, what is happening?
I don't know if there's some behind the scenes stuff or what, maybe because they're kids and they grew up, but it's like the guy was the heart of the first movie.
Right.
And to have him in it, I think it's like 5 minutes. Let's be fair and say like he's in like
I think it is about that. Yeah.
3 scenes, 6.5 minutes. and that's it.
When I sort of realized that this movie wasn't going the way I was hoping was when the wizard's head was on Wonder Woman's body. That image is burned into my brain for the rest of
That
my
was
life.
tough.
I saw
was
it on
like-
Twitter first, and I assumed that was like some silly Photoshop somebody did. And I'm
So
like,
did
what?
I.
It's weird. And then I saw the movie, like, oh my god, that's real. That's in the film. Did they ever explain how? I mean, his name is Shazam too, right? The Digimon
believe
Hansu,
so.
right?
Yeah.
So they ever explain why he's not dead?
No.
No. Yeah.
He just
No.
showed up and that he disintegrated in our dimension and had to go back to his dimension. I guess that was there. They didn't explain that very well, did they? Because where was all his brothers and sisters? If that's the case, right?
I just
Anyway.
had to leave Earth's atmosphere.
Yes, right. Thank you, Martian Manhunter. Anyway, just disappointing. The third sister twist got me
Whoa, Richard
Oh,
Zegler? Really?
Anne. Yeah.
because I didn't know anything about any of these characters since they're all made up. So
Oh, like because like I remember seeing her like in the garb and in the trailer, so I was like, oh yeah, she's probably one of them.
makes sense.
I knew she was going to be one of them when they said that they cast her in a mystery role. I was like, oh, she's the villain.
I was just not paying much attention to the behind the scenes for once on this, and that's why it got me. But
Good.
it should have made a Freddy movie, right? Freddy was like one of the best parts of the first movie. The kid actor was great. Adam Brody, hello, like fantastic. Like, can we just have
He owned it.
Captain Marvel
He
Jr.
did.
movie because he comes off like like he's like putting on the superhero. Yes, but, you know, he's playing a stereotypical superhero because he's a kid in a hero's body. That's what Captain Marvel does in the comics. He's
like
like
Freddy's doing exactly what we should be seeing from Billy, and like
Yeah.
their personalities totally match. Where
Yes.
yeah, when he's Shazammed up, like he is the confident version to what Freddy would be, and with Shazam and Billy, it's so strange because I think like the first one, I felt that it was kind of off, but it was close enough to where I'm like, you know what, like because he's like super powerful and like and can be like a kid, like since he never really got to be a kid,
he
he's
gets
just
super
like embracing
excited
that.
about it. He's excited all the time.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of let it go in the first one. And the second one, I thought that we were going there because like I remember in like one of the only scenes that Billy's in, he's like doing the whole we got to be connected, and I'm like, okay, he's like I see him channeling the Zachary Levi energy there. I can see him trying, but Zachary Levi, he just like takes it all the way to like not just 11, like 12 or 13. I just like
Too much.
yeah, it's too much, and there's no balance to it whatsoever. So it's really difficult.
Yeah, well, and plus, like the villains, I don't know, like the whole movie, Helen Mirren is all about like getting their powers back, right?
Mhm.
And then she kind of has a, I don't say a heel turn because not really, but whatever the opposite of that is, I guess. Towards the end, when Lucy Liu's like, we're gonna just kill everybody, and she's like, oh, I don't want to do that, and I was like, well. But you already did. You already won. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well, I
mind-
mean,
yeah, Rachel Zegler was okay, but also Rachel Zegler's inexperience showed when she's trying to act next to Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu.
Well, Helen Mirren. Like I think Helen
It's
Mirren
like,
did a good
yeah,
job. Lucy Liu was terrible on that. I think.
she trying to camp it up, but then also trying to be serious. It was a weird performance. If
yeah, I
that makes any
mean,
sort
so
of sense.
I don't want to act as if I want to be full devil's advocate, but to address that potential plot hole you were talking about, JJ, I understood it as like, okay, she's someone who's like she's not gonna stop at anything to get her power back, but ultimately, like she's not cruel for cruelty's sake. I can't talk tonight. She's ultimately trying to pursue the goal of getting that power. But like Lucy Liu, like switched up from instead of just trying to get our power to get back home, let's just like bring home here as a vindictive play against humanity. And that's where the split came from, because it's like, no, I'm just focused on getting home rather than trying to pay back the humans.
I
or
agree with
whatever.
that. I agree with
Okay,
that.
that's fair. I
Like,
don't like the movie though.
yeah, it's
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
what
not
a waste
great.
of Helen Mirren, especially. Like there's a scene when she's like explaining, like they're having like some Philly cheesesteak, and she's explaining to Captain Marvel like why they're upset. I'm like, it makes a lot of sense actually. You know, she's like, if someone stole your coin, and blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, great. I don't know. Like it's just I there's all the behind the scenes stuff too, you know, with like The Rock didn't want to be in it, and him and Zachary Levi,
yeah.
like all the jokes about like I wanted to see Shazam and Black Adam fight, but I wanted to see it in a movie, not on social
Not in
media.
real life.
Right.
It was bizarre, right? To Zachary Levi just losing his mind about a lot of things, actually, but you know, just specifically about the movie, just like, man, go see it, man. We gonna go see Fast and Furious instead? Well, but some kids, like, dude, like, just calm down, move on with your life, right? It was just crazy. Like, it's so strange, such a bad look from him too. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I loved the first one. Like, whatever I like about this movie is just kind of leftover stuff from the first one, right?
Yeah.
Skittles, Taste the Rainbow, the most egregious product placement I've ever seen in anything. Unacceptable.
100%.
I'm not gonna lie. I laughed like a maniac when that happened.
I thought it was funny the way she said it and the way they cut it.
Taste the rainbow.
But taste the rainbow, mother, and then
Yeah.
that made me laugh. But at the same time, it was just like, I don't know. It was just the movie itself was just like irritating in the sense that let's give all the kids powers. Let's take that away from them, except for Billy. And I don't know. It felt like one step forward, two step backwards, or maybe more than that, probably more than that. When it's like, I don't know, you set up a cool sequel with having Mr. Mind, and then you're like, we're not going to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, but
That's
why?
true. Like you didn't have to even do Black Adam. You get it on Mr. Mind. There were other Captain Marvel villains they could have used, but just to invent people. And then why is Wonder Woman in this?
For that brand synergy, because we love the DCEU.
Maybe they were like, yo, we know this thing's ending, so they just called up Gal, was like, hey, do you want to be in the suit one more time?
It's like everybody loves Gal Gadot, right? Like they made this they planned all this before Wonder Woman 1984. Clearly, they're like, oh, get people excited. It was just like she literally Deus Ex Machina, literally.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And plus, it doesn't. It was weird having like Zachary Levi be resurrected and not like Billy or Asher Angel, right? Like why couldn't like Billy come back? Because if he was kind of crushing on her, that I think that would have been cuter.
Way more sense. Way more like innocent and fun instead of like creepy. I don't know. And then the post credit scene was terrible too, by the way. But
that was what really annoyed me about that was, was the Rock stuff where he's like, I don't want them in the movie. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. Secondly, secondly, like, why does he have the chokehold on that? That doesn't make any. That's
sense. Not his signature
move.
Producer.
Well, there's that too. But it was a bad look on everybody involved. But the silver lining, The Rock is coming back to the Fast and Furious. Wait, did I say silver lining? I meant clouds, because I don't care.
I'm not entirely sure that's a silver lining, but I mean, hopefully.
Well, he will be live action Maui, so that's cool too.
Yeah,
I guess.
Look, that's what you do. Take a page out of Dwayne Johnson's book, Zachary Levi. If the movie doesn't go the way you plan, you just move on. You move on to something else. You don't sit here and like freak out online and take a bunch of Instagram videos, blaming all these people. You just move on with your life, right? So The Rock, man, just not even listen. I'm happy to announce I'm back I'm part of the family again, or whatever.
That is so funny because literally, I remember Vin Diesel like went on public just being like, hey, like Rock, come back. Like it's your time. It's your destiny to come back. And The Rock was just like, I'm not coming back. So the fact that he's like now back is like the funniest thing ever. Is like, yeah, Black Adam didn't do it for you, huh, buddy?
Well,
Black Adam or Shazam 2? What do you guys like better?
Black Adam like Shazam 2 more.
I mean,
I'd have to say Shazam 2.
Really? What about you?
Yeah,
they're kind of on the same page, just because I read that I think it's both Vin Diesel and The Rock and a couple other action stars. They have it in their contract that they can't lose fights, which it sounds like
ridiculous.
They count the punches. Like if I get punched 6 times, I get to punch somebody 7 times or something.
It's really ridiculous, and also doesn't make any sense. Just from a story point of view, like Black Adam should lose some fights, and that would just like piss him off, and then he gets, I don't know. It's ego to the max. Like I can't even imagine.
But I like Dr. Fate and I like Hawkman.
Oh,
cool.
I thought there was the humor in the movie, in the Black Adam movie, was really, really good. But I forget the kid's name, the character's name, but the boy in it,
the Freddy of Black Adam. Yeah.
I hated that so much.
He was terrible. And when I was rewatching the movie, I was like, this kid is awful. and also, I was like, I'm like pulled out of the movie because it's so bad. But at the same time, it's just, I don't know. I thought that The Rock, I thought was fine as Black Adam. He's The Rock playing Black Adam. And, one of my favorite lines in the movie is like, I'm not peaceful, nor do I surrender. I was like, oh, that's cool. He's totally Black Adam. And then they had the villain Sabak, who, let's face it, the best DCEU villain. No.
Okay. I was gonna say other than Suicide Squad, the Enchantress, that's the worst villain. So Sabak is The second worst villain for sure is in Black Adam, unless we count Justice League Steppenwolf. He's down there as well. So,
Yeah.
Mother
is calling. And it's the same actor
it's the same. They just changed the visual.
He's fantastic in the Snyder cut.
I agree.
And it's just like, yeah, what is happening
Oh
here?
my god. Yeah, that's I don't know. They're all bottom mid tier for me, like Black Adam and Shazam 2, which is unfortunate. That's a good transition though. People's opinions, right? The Flash is apparently going to be the greatest film of all time.
Tom Cruise said so.
Tom Cruise says so. Oh, I understand they got to promote this movie, but they just need to stop. They need to stop shoving this movie down my face. It's like, I get it. You guys want people to go see it. It needs to. If this movie doesn't make $1 billion, they're going to freak out, right? Because I mean, they've probably poured so much money into this, and I think we've seen about 2/3 of the movie now, and all these trailers and clips they keep releasing, and like the directors doing interviews, giving away things. I'm like, why did you tell me that? I didn't want to know that, but you told me. You're the director. What are you doing? I don't know. So, where are we all on the Flash right now? Mateo, let's start with you.
Okay, so I genuinely am excited to see this thing, just to see like how this plays out. There are people that I follow in terms of like critics circles. I'm like, okay, they are saying that it's good, so I'm looking forward to that. Whether it's the best of all time, I seriously doubt it because I'm pretty sure I just saw it back here.
It's not even the best superhero movie this month.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So I seriously doubt that, but like, I'm not going to hold that movie against it just because like, there's no way like they knew that they were going to go up against Spider-Verse. So I'm not going to hold it, but I definitely am just like hoping that they are able to balance what exactly, like you have all these stories, like you have Keaton as Flash, you got the new Supergirl, they're trying to wrap up the whole DCU thing, but like, I hope that they can still tell like a really good, like Barry Allen story. Cause it is Flashpoint. So yeah, I want to see a good story. I heard that Ezra Miller is good in both roles as current Flash and younger Flash. So I hope that it's good. Honestly, I think that there's a solid chance I'll have like a good time with it. Whether it's the best DCU movie of all time, I'm not quite sure because I hold Suicide Squad to a very high regard. So yeah, I think right now I'm just holding my breath until I actually see it at this point.
Cool. What about you, Isaiah?
Yeah, man. So I gotta put a little disclaimer out. This is my official apology to Lance Laster because a few years ago, y'all were talking about the news I was talking about with Flash, and he was not hyped for it. And I'm like, yo, Lance is true.
That has not changed at all.
Not changed at all.
And I'm like, yeah, Lance is tripping. Like, what do you mean you're not excited for this thing?
Man's ready to give it 1 star.
But then when I saw the trailers, especially recently, where it's like they're promoting the fact that Supergirl and Batman are in it more than like the actual Flash, I'm like, yo, he's kind of onto something in terms of that's why I'm not excited for it. I'll watch it out of like brand loyalty, but I don't have high hopes for it at all because it is telling the fact that you're relying more on press and promotion dealing with, oh, look who's in our movie, guys, as opposed to, no, look at the story that we have to tell.
Tom Cruise wanted to see it early, and he said it was great.
So did Stephen King, So
yeah,
there's that.
Well, to play devil's advocate for just a quick second, that might be more of a marketing thing than anything have to do with the movie. Just because, like, obviously their star is problematic, so they don't want to put his face all over. I understand what you're saying. You have like every right to not be excited for it for those reasons, but I think it's more of an from what I'm hearing, it's more of an indictment on the marketing than the movie itself.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And I would even like look at like even No Way Home, for example, and the way that they chose to market that movie.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna like I don't have time right now, but it's soon, sometime this year. I'm gonna make some fan trailers for No Way Home as if DC released them. And he goes, it's the thing Uncle Ben said the night before he died. Like, oh, I got my suit right here. It's just Aunt May being blown away.
Yeah, man.
With great
know,
power,
and-
she's gonna say to the show, with great power must come great responsibility.
Oh,
She's gonna say
that
it.
would have been in the trailer. For
Yeah.
gotta-
Oh
sure.
man, I'm
It
so
would've.
man. I'm getting more excited. Maybe I'll do it sooner. I don't.
You gotta include Charlie Cox though. You gotta.
Oh yeah, you
gotta
catch
throw
the
him in.
Yes.
brick,
Oh my
yeah?
Yep.
Just everything, everything.
Even the line of like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
So
I'm like,
cringe.
come on, guys. Like, what are
No
we doing
one loves
here? What are we
Michael Keaton's
doing?
Batman more than me, but to just put those in like, no, okay, let him say
Thank
I'm
you.
Batman, but don't say that anyway. JJ, what do you? I'll go last, but what do you think? What are you feeling now, JJ?
It's funny because I really struggled with my excitement for the movie because of Ezra Miller, because it was like, all of that stuff is sort of inescapable. But at the same time, it's like I don't think everybody else that worked on the movie, not just Sasha Kaye, Michael Keaton, or the directors and all the crew, I don't think they shouldn't be punished for Ezra Miller being a psychopath. So I've sort of just landed on the, separating the art from the artist take on it. And I don't know, the second trailer that they released, I thought, saying, or actually both the trailers, when Keaton says, you could go anywhere, why would you want to stay here? And he says, this is where my mom lives. And then in the second trailer, Keaton says, as if fighting crime would bring back my parents. You actually
Somehow
did it.
you did it.
That stuff just hit me so hard as a fan of these characters, and especially Keaton, not just Keaton's portrayal of Batman, but Batman in general. And I'm actually wearing a Keaton black Batman shirt. And even later in the trailer, the Ben Affleck part of it, where he says kind of the opposite, where he's like, "Don't let your tragedy define you." I was just blown away, going, they're saying, they're saying everything right, and I'm trusting that, friends of mine who have seen it early, people who I know and love, and they're just raving about it. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. Like it again, that when I say emotional reality, is key to this. That's just another way of saying what Donner was always saying about Superman, right? The verisimilitude. If you can buy into the characters and what they're going through, you'll believe a man can fly, right? So if they can sell all that, then all the wacky multiversal stuff will just be, icing, right? But yeah, I'm very excited, and Flashpoint's one of my favorite comics. I still maintain the reveal of who Batman is that was at the end of issue number 1 is one of my favorite twists in comics in general. And I had like huge event fatigue at that time. I was like, okay, well, I'll get it because Jeff Johns, and I love the Flash, blah blah blah, and Batman's in it. That's kind of cool, I guess. But like at the end of that issue, I was jumping up and down, going, "That's awesome!" And now Flashpoint Batman is, you can't escape it pretty much in DC Comics. But my long-winded way of saying I'm very, very excited for this one.
Yeah, you mentioned Flashpoint. I do wish they would have done Flashpoint. Like I understand, like, oh, we're getting Michael Keaton back, and that's why people are excited. Of course, I want to see Michael Keaton again as Batman, but it's like you had Jeffrey Dean Morgan right there. You have Wonder Woman and Aquaman potentially in this movie. Like you could have literally done the proper Flashpoint story. And now, I mean, well, how, I don't know. I care about this kind of stuff, but it's like, so you went back in time, but now Ben Affleck became Michael Keaton and he's older. And anyway, I'm sure they'll have like 2 lines of dialogue to try and explain that in the movie. It's just anyway. So there's that going on. I don't know if I should reread Flashpoint before or after I see this, because it might make me more upset. Like, is there a reverse Flash? There's a Dark Flash toy. I wonder who that's going to be, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who that's going to turn out to be.
The
To
real
play
Ezra
devil's
Miller.
advocate. Oh my gosh. To play devil's advocate for a second. So like say that they did like make was it oh my gosh.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Sorry, thank you.
People like The Walking Dead, right? That'd be great.
Yeah. Say that they
Yeah.
actually went with him, and then you find out later on, like, oh, they considered bringing Keaton in When you get more excited, being like, "Dang, I wish they did Keaton."
No, because I mean, like, you just say
Yeah.
Michael Keaton for Batman Beyond with our Asian Terry McGinnis, as we discussed. Okay.
Okay, I'll give you a point there. I
There
don't
we
know.
go.
I'm just
Got
like,
him.
I don't know. I'm
Ah.
fine with Keaton coming back. I think it's just like, I think it's really, I think it's a
You want to
creative
get
way
nuts?
of like,
Remember, I said this once in a situation 30 years ago. I'm saying it again.
I love the way he says I'm Batman in the trailer though, because it's just like
Just like tired and like whatever.
he's
Matter
like,
of
yeah,
fact.
I'm Batman.
But why would
it's
he
also
say
I'm
that
Batman.
there? That is such a I just that's like a Doritos commercial where he
Well,
dresses up as Batman again, because it's like what I had thought, and this is maybe it's my own fault because I came up with something better than they did in my head. No, but it's just like he shows up in this world and he sees Batman doing some stuff like on the street, and then he sees him kill someone or whatever. I don't know. Like both these Batman kill people, so really not that big of a difference. That's the thing about Flashpoint, right? Thomas Wayne was different, but he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Batman," right? I'm like, "Oh my god, that would have been the best way to see Michael." But instead, he's like old, long-haired, crazy Luke Skywalker in his mansion. Now he does become Batman at the end, becoming more athletic, versatile, and talented than he was 30 years ago in the prime of his life when he's 70 years old. Yes, I mean he's so there's all that, but honestly, the Ezra Miller thing's a huge thing to me. All the press has just frustrated me so much about this. Like, Ezra, he worked really hard on this. They worked really hard on this and gone through a lot. And we just want him to get better and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, that's great. But like, I don't know, responsibility with, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like
Accountability,
the way that Ezra Miller has been coddled and protected through all this is frustrating to me.
I agree.
It's
Because
not
you
a-
just
it's
look
not
around
okay.
and you see how other actors may or may not be treated, and you see how he's being treated. Ezra's going to go to the premiere, but they're not going to interview Ezra, and they're just going to keep going. And that's to your
Not
point,
let the
Isaiah,
talk,
about the
yeah.
marketing. It's like, oh, Michael Keaton, Sacha Kali, great, but like, hey, the star of your film, you had 2 years to figure this out, and you chose to do nothing about it. Like, I don't. Obviously, there's two of them, and then there's two Barry Allens in here, which is like the worst possible thing you could do with Ezra Miller. It's
Well, I sent a meme to Zach. I'll tell you guys where it was from the first trailer where it's the two berries meeting, and the under it says people in Hawaii right now, and it's Newt Gunray from Phantom Menace. He says this is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
and he just looks annoying as F, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he's Batman. Yeah, he's got like stain on his shirt, like he's a toddler, doesn't know how to eat. He's just an idiot. And like,
I love it.
I'm just like, I don't want to see this. I didn't even like Ezra Miller. And then you see like, oh, we can't recast Ezra Miller. Only Ezra Miller can play the Flash. I'm like, are you serious? Like everything everyone has said about this has just pissed me off through all this marketing, except for Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon seems pretty base, but everybody else has been pissing me off about this. Like, can we address this as a serious problem? Like, can we just say, all I want them to say, I'm getting fired up now, but I'm like, all I want them to say is, you know what? Ezra's done a lot of things, and they're getting help right now, and we hope he gets back on the right path, and that's all we can say. Instead of like, oh, Ezra Miller is our Flash, no matter what, hell or high water, they did such a fantastic job on this film. It's like, can we just? They're trying to overcompensate, and I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. This is an issue. This is an ongoing, thing with Ezra Miller, and they're acting like it's all resolved and everything's great now. And I don't like that approach, and it does rub me the wrong way. And I understand separating the art from the artist, but look at something like Smallville, right? Allison Mack, right? That happened after the show. That has no effect on what happened then. This is a current thing that's going on, and you're going to go support this major movie with this actor. So that's the difference to me. That's why it's frustrating. So it's hard to look past that, especially when there's two of them right in your face the whole time. So that's how I
get
feel.
that. I get that. I think that I give them somewhat leeway, just because like they shot this thing like years ago at this point.
Well, they should have
and
released it years ago, Mateo.
I agree. No, I agree. This movie should have been coming out a long time ago. I agree with that. But
Am I being
I think
unfair?
that-
Like, how am
No,
I
you're
being
being
unfair?
You're
here?
being no, you're being totally fair.
Okay.
I think I'm just a little bit more lenient in understanding. Just like I try to think about it because like I work in like the media space and like the business, so I try to understand exactly where they're coming from and the aspect of like I think it's just very much like it's very they're thinking about money and it's not the best way to think about it. Like I don't condone it whatsoever. I just like I think and I just try to rationalize it, being like, yeah, like the second that this movie comes out, they'll be like, okay, we're cutting ties with Ezra Miller completely.
That would be
Like,
great. They
I,
should.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think
they
that,
should do.
and that's what I'm waiting for.
But they were
If they
doubling
don't
down.
do that,
I'm like, oh no, we got a sequel ready to go, and I can't imagine
That's not
anyone else
happening.
playing the
Yeah,
Flash. And blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. That annoys me. There's no need to say that.
yeah,
But
I
also,
agree.
what-
That was a dumb thing to say. I think it very much was in the set that like they know they're not making that sequel.
Yeah,
They know
this is a
that-
hard reboot. Yeah, after this.
Yeah, it's not happening. So they're just playing coy about it until this thing comes out, and then it's just like, oh yeah, I guess it just didn't work out. Like I just wish that they just didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah, no, they should have their pre-scripted 2 sentences. Everybody says, Ezra's gone through a lot. We wish well to all involved. We hope everybody
Mhm.
gets the help they need. We're just moving forward with this movie. Like, stick to the script. Stick to the script instead of
Yes.
all this praise and all this. Oh, no one else can play the Flash. Like, and I'm not saying that I am saying they should have just deep fake Grant Gustin in the movie instead. But like, we got that guy over here. He's been playing the Flash for 9 years. That show, it ended up what it ended up. But
That
Grant
including
Gustin was,
Arrow.
yeah, well, that's true if you into that. But Grant Gustin was fantastic. Regardless of the quality of the shows and the episodes and the stories, he was always great. And to my knowledge, hasn't been in any legal trouble. Really stand up guy and a great custodian of the character.
Yeah.
Hasn't choked people, broken into homes, thrown chairs at people, caused scenes in nightclubs, terrorized Hawaii, groomed people perhaps at their secret ranch and given bullets to babies. Grant Gustin, to my knowledge, hasn't done any of that. And that's allegedly what Ezra Miller has done. And everybody go look up what has happened and do your own research on this. Come to your own conclusions. I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't think or what you should or should not believe, but I've just seen a lot of like, what did Ezra even really do going around online? I'm like, okay, we can stop that because Ezra has done some shit. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be real. All right. So anyway, this energy here, Lance is going to bring 10 times as much energy in our Flash conversation, just so you guys know.
I'm waiting
playing
for it.
that
I'm
because
bracing myself
when we
now.
have
Yeah,
that
real talk.
conversation, he's going to be in this spot, but like to the max in that conversation. We have our Flash review because it's inescapable. It's inescapable. So that's all that story wise. We'll see. I do think just looking at the film, they should not have. I know they want to. I guess they kind of have to promote Supergirl because who else are you going to put out there? Michael Keaton's busy and you can't use Ezra Miller. So here she is. I feel like that should have been a secret. I feel like the whole movie they're gonna be like, we're gonna get Superman, and like it's supposed to be some kind of reveal that it's Kara, it's not Clark, right? I get even these scenes like we're gonna go get Superman out, and you're sitting like, okay, it's not gonna be Superman. We know. Let's get to it. Like they should have.
Yeah.
They should have either kept that a secret or done Flashpoint and done a Captain America in reverse on Henry Cavill and have him in a little scrawny Superman. That would have been cool.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay,
I
fine.
think part of the thing, at least for me, is I'm a little bitter, to be honest, in terms of when I see Supergirl, not because of her, obviously, but just because I know, like, wow, y'all really like dropped Henry Cavill for no reason. And so I guess when I watch Supergirl, I see it as you're just intended to replace Henry rather than you are a genuine, organic, like, character in this movie.
Henry Cavill was treated. he was pretty much treated like
Dirt.
garbage by Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. Like it just isn't. And I like the fact that from what we understand, from what I'm understanding, that he and James Gunn have like a sit down about it. So I can appreciate, Gunn being a man and sitting down with him and going, look, like this is what we're gonna do. As opposed to just, being like, yes, sure, you're coming back, but you're not really coming back, and which doesn't make any sense. Because what's the logic with keeping Ben Affleck, keeping Gal Gadot, keeping Jason Momoa, but not keeping Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill, yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well,
Ray Fisher.
anything's
Ray
possible,
Fisher, the older.
JJ. We could keep Aquaman, we could keep Wonder Woman, but definitely not Superman. Definitely not. I'm like, that's why you need a hard, in my opinion, you need a hard reboot after this. And I know everybody, you know, the Suicide Squad and all the Peacemaker characters, like, sorry, we're kind of connected to the old stuff. You know, I don't.
The Peacemaker stuff is
irritate me.
on the outside enough for me to be like, yeah, they can stay because they're not integral. They're not.
I don't know. Ezra Miller
super
and
connected.
Jason Momoa were in there. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep saying that. No. I understand your point. Your point. But if you want it, you need what we need here is a hard reboot, like Superman Returns to Man of Steel. That's what we need. All this vague stuff is not going to serve any. I swear, if Jason Momoa keeps playing Aquaman after all this, you know, I don't know.
That's a tough look.
I will say though, if there was one actor from the DCEU that you were going to keep, I would vote Viola Davis because.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If she wants to keep doing it, great.
Well, she is because they're doing a Waller TV show. Because
she can be the Judi Dench M from the Pierce Brosnan to the Daniel Craig.
That's exactly what I was thinking about too.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just Warner Brothers screwed over Henry Cavill for no reason.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think they're just trying to like get through this period and then be like, and they're just like hoping that James Gunn can just like clean the slate and just be like, okay, moving forward, Superman, let's go.
And I think they're trying, you know, kind of what I think they're also trying to keep in mind is that they're using the Flash as the vehicle with which to spark that reboot in terms of like once he goes back in time again and doing the new universe. I guess so. There's a lot more of an easier transition for, let's call it the normal general audience of understanding, oh, why is there another Batman? You know,
well, we're gonna get our fourth
Batman
in 3 years when whoever because you have Affleck in this movie, Keaton in this movie, Pattinson last year and in the future, and then whoever the new DCEU Batman is, maybe it's George Clooney. We'll see. Do you guys believe that rumor?
That's insane.
I've heard.
I think he's definitely going to be in the Flash. I don't think he's going to be the new DCEU Batman.
No, he's not going to be the new Batman. That'd be weird. I hope not. I mean,
amazing. Am I right? No,
you know, well, okay. Of all the issues with Batman and Robin, Clooney was really not one of them.
I rewatched Batman and Robin when all those rumors started. And I'm like, he was not good. Like he was actually.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Terrible.
I love that. Oh my god, that's a guilty pleasure, man. I love that line.
No, his scenes with Alfred actually very good.
Amazing. Yeah.
But as far as just everything else, even when he's out as Bruce Wayne stuff, like there's nothing there. He's not cool. He's not. I don't know. He just walked off the set of ER and was Bruce Wayne for a little bit. And anyway, but I would be fascinated to see him because he's a great actor.
Oh, yeah.
Like George Clooney, I mean, he really looks the part. Like he's a real life Bruce Wayne. You know? Yeah. So I'm not saying he should be the new Batman. I'm just saying like what a wasted opportunity that was. You had that guy and did that with him. I think he will be in of course, we hear all these rumors about the Flash. I think he will be that last Batman in the Flash, and that'll be the gag, and it ends, and he's stuck in Batman and Robin universe or something like some quantum leap ending. Oh boy, look at the camera. Because remember the first shots we saw, like set photos of Michael Keaton. Right outside with his like that was the end of the movie, as I understand. Like outside a courthouse, right? And it's like, hey, we freed your dad or something. I think that was the thing. Apparently, that's the stuff that got cut. So when are we going to see those? I'm calling in here now. Sasha Calle, Supergirl, and all the trailers. She's like, "Are you ready?" Right? I bet talking about Spider-Man trailers are misleading. I bet that shot's not in the movie. I bet that was from the deleted ending. That was gonna be like one of the. That's my feeling. I don't know. I don't know information. I haven't seen it yet. I feel sorry for her most of all because people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm really excited," and she's like, "I can't wait to be Supergirl." I'm like, "I'm sorry, we already announced Supergirl World tomorrow, and it's not going to be you." So that's maybe we shouldn't announce all these things before all these other movies come out.
Warner Brothers is famously notorious for that, just announcing crap and then not making it. Like
Lucasfilm.
Same, yeah, and
I think they're worse.
Warner Brothers is the worst. They can I can think of at least 3 David Goyer projects that never happened.
The Flash
Yes. The Flash
with Ryan
the-
Reynolds,
the Green Arrow.
Supermax.
Yeah, right. Which actually sounded really awesome and was
Fantastic.
kind of the
Arrow season
first
7
half,
almost. Yeah.
season 7. Yeah. And oh gosh, there was another one. I think
Dude,
he was
there've been so many. There was Justice League Dark. Remember that? Like Guillermo del Toro was going to do that. There was like a Joker
League
and
Mortal.
Harley movie, the Gotham
Oh, yeah.
Sirens movie. Obviously, there was the Cyborg movie, the Green Lantern Corps movie.
Blue Beetle and Booster Gold.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is that James Gunn has kind of said that the official start of the new DCU is Superman Legacy. Personally, I consider Blue Beetle, the one coming out this August, to be the start.
I thought he said that Blue Beetle was the start of the new movie.
Either him or Peter Safran said Superman is the first official, but I'm like, shouldn't it be Blue Beetle though? Like,
Well,
that's how you can kind of.
let's be real. It depends on how much Blue Beetle makes. If Blue Beetle is a hit, it's the first one. If it's a bomb, it's not. It's like it's Superman.
What are you feeling on Blue Beetle? You think it's going to be good?
I hope it's good.
I think it'll be good, but I also think it won't do that well.
I agree. I think it'll just be a run of the mill, like good or not good or bad. I think it's just going to exist, but I don't think it'll make very much money because it's coming out in August. Weird time. It's sandwiched in between all these other movies. People are going to be confused. What is this?
I thought, I was like, all right, this looks kind of fun. But also, truth be told, I am not a Jaime Reyes fan. I find the character super irritating.
Even in Young Justice?
Yeah.
Whoa! Even in Young Justice, you mean?
Yeah.
That's very tough to hear.
The slander is crazy.
What about in Smallville, JJ?
Oh, that's the worst.
Gosh.
You would be the people telling Jaime Reyes you're not a real Blue Beetle. You don't belong here.
But well, I was, this will show my age a little bit in like 2005.
Hashtag Ted Kord is Spider-Man or Ted Kord is Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, is that Brandon Routh was supposed to be Ted Kord, and then the DC movies were like, you can't do that.
For that movie they worked on in 2013,
which doesn't make any freaking sense, and because they were not making that movie, so I don't know. I was never
is
okay
Susan
with that.
Sarandon like?
I think
is she Ted Kord? Is she Theo Kord? Or are they going to change?
No, I believe she's supposed to be his sister. She's supposed to be his sister, I believe.
Sister? Okay.
Is Ted Kord in this movie?
Not
I don't
that I know.
probably not.
I didn't see in the casting.
Okay. Is Dan Garrett in this movie? Huh? The Jay Garrick of the the original Blue Beetle.
Wow.
Dan Garrett.
Yeah, Dan Garrett's the first one.
Yeah. The Jay Garrick of the Blue Beetle mythology. Well, when what he talks about. Anyway.
Which,
I mean, we see both of their suits in the trailer.
You know what annoys me about the Flash too? All the suits everybody loves. Like, oh, look, cool! It's Michael Keaton. He had a blue and gray. No, he did not have a blue and gray suit. Michael Keaton had been Batman for 2 months in Batman '89. That was his first costume. Okay, none of this other crap. Ugh.
He made a bunch of extras.
I had all the Batman Returns toys where he was Arctic Rescue Batman, and that's fine. But that's different. Okay.
Yeah. No, there was plenty of toys back in the '90s that were, even like the Batman animated series ones, which I had like all of them.
I'll say something really positive about the Flash. I really like the new Batwing.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I think that is a natural evolution of the Batwing and the Keaton vehicles. That I can see that came from before. Even though it doesn't look like it did in the 80s. That one got destroyed. He built a new one. There's more to it. There's more seats. It does more. That could sit on my shelf next to the Bat ski boat and the Batmobile and all that, and it would fit perfectly. So I really like that design. So I can't wait to see the Kryptonians just destroy it. Can we have a Batwing that doesn't get destroyed in one of these movies? Like, that was so nice about Batman the animated series. You see all these vehicles and they don't get blown up every time you see them. So anyway, Blue Beetle. I mean, we're all going to see it, right? We'll talk about it here. We'll do Lance and I go see it, do our night of conversation. We'll drop it on the Patreon. I don't anticipate that really moving the needle for me, but maybe there's something there. I don't know. I'm definitely going to see it, and we'll take it from there.
Well, the first Spider-Verse movie, I was excited for because I thought it looked amazing, and I love Miles Morales. But I was just like, it'd be a fun movie, I bet. I didn't expect to just be like in love with it. So maybe, Blue Beetle will be that way too. Who knows?
I feel like WB thinks this could be like an Iron Man situation for them, Blue Beetle.
You
But
really
they
I
also
would
thought
agree,
that
yeah.
way. They also thought that way for Green Lantern. So
Well, Green Lantern is a source of such frustration for me because the comic book at the time was my favorite comic.
Yeah.
And I loved it so much, and I was so excited for the movie. And then it was just like,
That's a real punch in the face then, huh?
well, for excuse me, for like months afterwards, I was like, no, it was fine. Yeah, it was fine. It was totally fine. It was fine. It was fine. No, it was it wasn't fine, was it?
like, it's not as bad as its reputation, but for what
I
it
agree
needed
with
to
this.
be, it was not what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Remember when the first issue of Justice League #1 for the New 52 was Batman and Green Lantern, our two most popular characters, because we have two crazy successful movies right now, right, guys? No, no, you do not.
and the top of a bunch of the books were
It's Green Lantern,
Green Lantern. And
Dark
then
Knight Rises, Green Lantern, Man of Steel. All my New 52 comics are so dated by those stripes.
they did it with Arrow too. When Arrow,
Yeah,
I forget who it was, but there was one of the artists was like furious about that. Was like, why are the covers of these being by the TV show or whatever? And I was just like, marketing, man. I'll tell you. Like, I forget who. I mean, I get the frustration, of course, but I don't know. DC is I don't know, notoriously making strange decisions all over the place. Like I'll never understand why it took forever to get one Flash movie, yet it took Todd Phillips like 8 seconds to get a Joker movie.
but JJ, is this even a Flash movie or is it more of a Batman movie?
I'm
Agreed.
pretty sure it is a Batman movie.
Nice twist there. Nice swerve. You had me going there. Yeah, we'll see. Look, this is an event. This is gonna be this is a thing. We've all been moving towards this canon event of the Flash for the last 6 years or whatever it's been since they announced these things. It's gonna be like all this buildup has been crazy. The aftermath of this is gonna be discourse for content to discuss forever. I mean, it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be whatever a thing is. You guys know what I'm trying to say. It's this is like, it's kind of like the Snyder Cut, but it's a wholly different category. But it's like this thing of fandom that's gonna be here, and people are gonna react strongly one way or the other. And that's the life of a DC fan. So
It's gonna be the Last Jedi of DC, honestly.
Crazy. I'd even say
that-
BVS was probably the.
I would
Last
say
Jedi.
BVS was that almost like the
Yeah.
So
Right?
this will be the Rise of Skywalker.
yeah, this is just a complete mess. Just nobody, we're all gonna agree it's just a mess.
And I don't know. And again, Lucasfilm with those movies, I still maintain each film on its own is good. For the sequels, the Star Wars sequels, they do not fit together at all. And I know how Zach feels about the Last Jedi.
Each film, so even Rise of Skywalker.
There's quite a lot of it I dig.
I'm so happy for you. I really am.
It's not my favorite. But least favorite. So
I'm like, when you were talking about them individually, I'm like, I'm with you for Force Awakens. I'm with you for
100%.
Last Jedi.
Mm.
Last Skywalker stuff though.
Nah, yeah, I was about to say that's a stretch right there.
Flash is coming out, so we'll be back again, not immediately, but kind of maybe let some of the dust settle, and we can talk about stuff like the box office. I'm very fascinated to see how we'll wrap it up here. Box office predictions for the Flash. I'm gonna say 650 million. That's my prediction.
Total worldwide.
Worldwide gross.
Whoa. I'm gonna go with 450.
Oh, I thought I was going low. Okay.
I'm thinking I would go higher. I would say 800.
Oh wow.
$800 million.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely what they're hoping for. I think anything less than that to them is a failure.
Well, like Amazing Spider-Man 2 made 725 million and they called it a failure. And I was like, I don't even have $7. So you all can just, shut the up,
How do these Venom movies make like $800 million worldwide? Like they make like
I
make
don't
like
know.
150 million here and like 700 million in like China and South America. Like
I'll answer that right now. They
Venom.
come out when there's no other movies out. Like they put the first Venom out in October, where there's like only like Freddy horror movies out. So and I think the same thing for the second one. So I think that's what it is. Is like it was the only thing that was like out for people to watch at the time.
Well, Mateo, what do you think the Flash is going to make?
Okay, so
he's been thinking
I'm
about
gonna,
this. He's gonna, yeah.
I haven't. I to be honest, I've been looking at my Fandango app to see what else is coming out like in the weeks after. I'm gonna say
Indiana Jones is coming out. What, 1 week, 2 weeks after?
Something like like 2 weeks after.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna say 550. Just because I think people are gonna. I think Spider-Verse is gonna have some legs, and also Transformers is coming out this weekend.
Crowded month.
I saw it yesterday. Pretty good.
Indeed.
I haven't seen a Transformers since Revenge of the Fallen. I haven't gone back. I know
Dude,
that.
watch Bumblebee. Watch Bumblebee.
See,
it's worth
that's
it.
what I was gonna say. Everybody tells me Bumblebee was good. It's got Gwen Stacy in it, right? It's got a Hawkeye in it.
Yeah, but also
Peacemaker.
Elemental's coming out next week. Literally the same weekend as Flash, so that might pull some like family, kids away from Flash. So it's going to be a tough battle for Flash to make it to $1 billion. I think 500-ish is kind of probably where it's likely going to stay once Indy comes out, and then Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, Barbie.
Oh
like
man,
Yeah.
Barbie
July's
actually
where the
looks
real
awesome.
movies come out.
Yeah.
I'm much more excited about July than June.
July's gonna be something.
I texted my stepmom. I was like, hey, for my birthday, usually you get me like a Amazon gift card. How about a Fandango gift card this year? Because there's a lot of movies I want to see. And she would be, oh, okay. Like, what were you thinking about? And my first thought was like, Barbie comes out in July. And I was like, they got like Spider-Man and stuff. So I'm not gonna, she won't understand. She'll be like, oh, Barbie. I'm like, it looks awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
No, I'm not kidding. Like this next weekend is stacked because like Flash comes out, Elemental comes out. I'm a big was a Wes Anderson fan. That Asteroid City comes out.
Yeah, that looks good.
The Blackening comes out, which I'm actually really excited for.
Yes, sir.
That
and
poster,
then-
we
and
can't all die first. Hilarious.
And also Extinction 2 comes out on Netflix that same day.
Yep.
So 5 movies come out next weekend. That is insane.
I didn't know that the Blackening was a thing until literally today when I was when I had some downtime at work and I was looking at entertainment news and I was like, the hell is this?
Okay, so those are our predictions. What did I say? 650 for me, 500 for Mateo, 450 for Isaiah,
Correct.
800 for JJ. WB is pulling for JJ to come out on top of that one. Well, so we'll have this. We'll have a ton around table. You guys, obviously, hopefully you can all make it again. We'll compare our numbers. We'll see how we did. I think they need this to make like $1 billion after all this crap they've gone through.
If freaking Captain Marvel can make $1 billion, and that was not a great movie,
Right? But that was
Like-
genius placement, though. They put it between
I was about to
Infinity War
say,
and Avengers,
exactly.
right?
sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then Endgame made $1 billion like in its first weekend.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah.
That was I don't know, it was nuts.
It was genius marketing on like Captain Marvel's part because of the fact that like they got that stinger at the end of Infinity War. So like, and everyone was like,
Love that.
so like literally that was just like, it literally made that movie like borderline essential because everyone was like, okay, like clearly they're setting like this person's going to be important for Endgame.
Yeah.
I also love how in Captain Marvel, the de-aging on Samuel L. Jackson looked amazing, but on Clark Gregg looked terrible. It just was awful.
Man was only in the movie for like 5 minutes. I guess they didn't think it was worth it.
Well, Clearly, poor guy. He was only
Yeah,
on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for 7 years. You jerks.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our level 33.1 new 52. Level 33.1 roundtable number 6. Isaiah, if people want to find you out there online, where can they find you? Or can they?
They can't, I'm
right.
still in my mystery phase.
Living off the grid. That's smart. Skynet
correct,
can't find you that way. It's good.
I'm in my Ron Swanson bag.
Nice.
But yeah, reach out to me through Patreon, I guess, on the Always Hold On Smallville stuff if you're trying to chat. If not, I'll be back here again,
All right. Mateo, again, tell people where they can find you and your new podcast, which I have not listened to yet because I'm a bad friend. Please continue.
You guys
As long as he knows.
You guys can find me at Matt Santiago 824 on Twitter. You can also find me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on the podcast Culture Mash. And yeah, if you guys want to learn about the differences between was it anime and Western media, just check me out. And my friend, we get to just chat it up. Honestly, it's just us kind of like hanging out for like usually 40-30 minutes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, JJ?
You can find me on Twitter at 4ComicJunkies. That's FOR Comic Junkies. Also the podcast 4ComicJunkies. Also, you can find me in my other show, the Spider-Man Book Club. Like you were saying before, Lance and I just did an episode about Cross the Spider-Verse. Episodes coming up. Yeah, and that show is show's blowing up a little bit. I'm very excited. You can find me, and I hope to.
I hope that you get a better internet connection. That's what I hope, JJ.
Oh,
That's crazy.
So, until next time, all together now, always
Always
hold
to
on to Smallville.
Smallville.
If you're watching this and you're not a member of the Patreon and you would like to be part of these conversations, go to patreon.com/alwaysmallville with one S. As for the podcast itself, you can find us on Facebook at Always Hold On to Smallville, and you can find us on Twitter at Always Smallville with one S, and you can send us an email at alwaysmallville@gmail.com, once again with one S. And I encourage you all to listen to our flagship show, Always Hold On to Smallville, our first spinoff, Always Hold On to Arrow, our next spinoff, Always Hold On to Savannah Lois, and then, of course, Always Hold On to Star Wars. So we have our Always Hold On to family of podcasts. We have going here the ever-expanding multiverse of our podcasts. And so if you like the conversation here, check us out, podcast form over there. No video for those. That's a whole nother format and venue we have going on over there. So there you have it. And we'll see you guys next time. And until then, always hold on to Smallville.